Tonight we're going to talk about boosting drinking and dining, not drinking and driving. That's a whole nother situation in Rhode Island. Yeah, when I saw this headline, boost drinking and dining in Rhode Island in the paper the other day, I thought, that's interesting. But there's actually an organization that's called Eat Drink Rhode Island, not Drink Eat Rhode Island. Emphasis on eat or drink, I'm not sure which, but emphasis on what is an asset in Rhode Island, no doubt, with all the things that we complain about this place, our restaurant and entertainment opportunities at the taverns and such are certainly not a complaint, but we can always do better. And how do we support that business? We'll talk about it as we move on. How is everybody? Great to have you aboard. Thank you for joining My State of Mind. I am Dan York. Let's check the rundown. We got some things we got to cover tonight. There's forgiveness, and then there's this kind of forgiveness. We've got some market competition conversation that goes around with the Paw Sox. Had some interesting insight from a professor on WPR radio today. I'll share that with you. Not a lot of protest in Tiverton over the proposal for a casino there. Makes sense because of where they're trying to put it, seems to me, anyway. And this is not helping, Yokar. Say it the way you want to, but I'm not so sure it's in context. Hillary's ready to set up shop in the Ocean State. Maybe a little premature. Maybe she's got a nervous twitch or something. Your state of mind's important to us, of course, and we'll check in with that as well. Here is item number 1, forgiveness update. Now, we go back a week ago in the Hernandez trial when Odin Lloyd's mom took to the stand with a broken heart, said this.
The day I laid my son Odin's life to rest, I felt my heart stop beating for a moment. I felt like I wanted to go into that hole with my son, Odin. I will never have a grandchild from my son or grandchildren. I forgive the hands of the people that had a hand in my son's murder.
We remarked about how poignant that was and how courageous that was last week, no doubt, and I haven't changed my mind about that, but along comes this, the headline, Odin Lloyd's mother announces wrongful death suit against Aaron Hernandez, and her attorney spoke about it today.
In my 30 years handling wrongful death cases, I have never, ever seen or experienced a woman such as Ursula, who is so willing to forgive those responsible.
I thought my life ended with his. I always wish I was there to take those bullets for Odin. But to God be the glory. I will be able to hug my son again.
I find it intriguing that the lawyer talks about her forgiveness as he's eyeballing 1/3 of Aaron Hernandez's estate, or whatever the contingency fee is, right? Look, I cry not a single tear for Aaron Hernandez, who will lose everything that he has, including that home where his fiance and baby are residing right now in North Attleboro. That's predictable. The jury threshold in a civil litigation like this is a lot lower than it is for a murder conviction. And so Odin Lloyd's mom will have to figure out for herself where the forgiveness begins and ends, because at the end of the day, she's got quite the paycheck coming, doesn't she? Market competition, we talk a lot about Jim Skeffington, the owner of the Paw Sox, discussing all the options that he has, and we guess it's in places like Worcester and other cities in New England if he can't make a deal for a Providence Stadium here. Today, I talked to an economics professor from Holy Cross who said, at least for now, nobody in his home city or anywhere else is talking much about wanting the Paw Sox.
Primarily, any idea of moving has been generated by the new Paw Sox owners rather than other cities expressing interest. Worcester says we will certainly entertain any sort of idea. If you want to move here, we would welcome you here. But I haven't heard anyone here talk about, putting down tens of millions of dollars to build a new stadium, or doing anything to match the sort of funding that Providence has been asked.
Then again, you know, the way this whole thing has been going, the Paw Sox have said Plan A is Providence and Plan B would be something else, and we don't want to talk about Plan B. If the city officials in Worcester and in Springfield and in Nashua and in Foxborough or wherever don't have their collective acts together to be there when the moment is ripe, I'd be very surprised. But I'll tell you, the way this whole thing is going, we have to get some clarity as to who's making the call on this Paw Sox deal. First of all, the governor says she has no formal presentation from the Paw Sox new ownership. The 195 Redevelopment Commission seems to be the front organization for this if it's on the proper protocol, and they don't seem to be involved, at least on an organizational basis. The Commerce Corporation just passed a couple of resolutions for some consulting agreements that I think are at least one of them, which is a stadium consulting agreement, is preliminary because there's no formal ask, and the Commerce Commission reportedly is not going back on this particular issue, so they're done. The legislature is waiting to see whether the Providence City government is going to burp up on this or whether the governor is going to. The Commerce Secretary seems to be running this kind of like Al Haig, I'm in control. It's a mess on protocol, and the only person I think that's really responsible to put this thing in some kind of formidable shape for the taxpayers and bring some clarity as opposed to cliche is Governor Raimondo. And she better hurry up. By the way, she's due here on this set Tuesday of next week, and we'll be discussing this and a whole lot more, so please make an appointment for that. In Tiverton, it seems like they are very, very quiet. I don't hear much opposition at all on the radio phone lines or in the press or the coverage of this move that Twin River would like to make to Tiverton, exiting Newport. You know, they optioned out for Newport Grand and now are taking ownership of Newport Grand, right? And they're going to renovate Newport Grand, but they don't have table games in Newport Grand, and they don't want to ask for another vote in Newport, Rhode Island. And so they've identified this plot of land in Tiverton, which is tucked right underneath 195, 24, and 81. And to be honest with you, there's nothing there but woods. It seems to me that it's a pretty good move, and that's why nobody in Tiverton's squawking. But I'll tell you, some surprising commentary from the mayor in Newport.
Newport Mayor Jean Marie Napolitano fielded plenty of resident phone calls after word got out that the owners of Newport Grand want to move 15 miles northeast.
They said, well, you know, good for Tiverton, you know, and it's too bad for Newport.
Then comes the next challenge. What to do with the nearly 40-year-old building that used to be the site of a landfill.
I don't think the state would be particularly willing to help Newport out at this point, knowing that we had an opportunity and, you know, the voters have spoke.
And voters in Tiverton still have to voice their opinion before any casino pops up.
That's a really silly thing for the mayor of Newport to say. Oh, I guess when they leave, we'll just keep the building. It's a dump and no one likes us and we're going to lick our wounds. Obviously, she was pro table games. But Mayor, you got to fight for your city. You can't sit there, lay down and say, we're dead or play dead. Wow, that's bad. No help to the case? I don't think it is. Whether the jury has seen, well, the jury was shown this version of this picture as Dzhokhar Tsarnaev to the cameras in prison, I guess a few days ago. Quick update on what's going on in the trial phase, the death penalty phase of the trial.
It's day 2 of the punishment phase for convicted Boston Marathon bomber Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. Prosecutors opened their argument for the death penalty Tuesday by showing Tsarnaev making an obscene gesture at a courtroom camera just 3 months after the bombings. Victims also told their stories. If the jury is not unanimous, Tsarnaev will receive life in prison. You know,
not to defend Dzhokhar Tsarnaev because he's indefensible, but you don't know what the context was. There could have been a bad dinner. Right? Did they offer the context as to why he flipped the bird to the camera? He could have been having, in his prison context, just a bad day. Maybe his orange jumpsuit wasn't fitting right and he was upset at the tailor. I don't know. But you know what? This whole reaction or this intent by the prosecutor is designed to create a reaction, right? You know, boom, here comes the finger. Oh, well, you know, heck with him. We'll send him to the death. The death penalty is not supposed to be an emotional reaction. It's supposed to be a constructive use of the law. And so the bird flip, while I'm sure it didn't help the kid, really, I'm not so sure makes the case. All right. And lastly, Hillary is setting up shop here in Rhode Island, perhaps prematurely. The headline here, yep, she's got her team, Joe Paolino et al., the campaign manager. It's a long way away, but maybe it's all because of this guy.
Yes, that's why I'm running, because I feel strongly about where we're going as a country. So it's not only that vote, but also her actions as Secretary of State.
You know, I don't think Link Chafee's a threat, and I can promise you, in Rhode Island, he's no threat, which is the irony of all this, isn't it? Your state of mind is important to us. Email us at stateofmind@myritv.com. Leave us a voicemail. We love hearing your voice. 228-1886. Facebook, tweet. Don't forget the E. Here's some Facebook posting on things that we've been discussing. Bob says it's difficult to open a mom and pop business in Tiverton, a casino. Good luck with that. Let me tell you something, Bob. This thing will fly by the town council. Of course, you have to have a vote on it. You don't open mom and pop shops with a vote. You open up casinos with a vote. And I'm guessing when the money gets thrown under the nose of the Tiverton citizens, they'll jump at it. There's nothing going on at the location they're looking for anyway. So get ready. It's coming. 2016 is the election, so you got time. When we come back, drinking and dining, dining and drinking, what's the difference? Stay with us. So I saw this headline in the Journal the other day, kind of an op-ed piece, and I thought, oh, I'm going to talk to this guy. And I didn't even know this was an organization. It's been going on 5 years. I mean, what rock have I been living under? Boost drinking and dining in Rhode Island. Did you write the headline by any chance?
No, the headline did not write. That was a
little bit of a flip.
editorial.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. It probably got some attention, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it's, it's a little sensational.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
David Dadekian is the president of Eat, Drink Rhode Island, not Drink, Eat Rhode Island. Doesn't matter.
Eat, drink sounded good, but I mean, we do both equally.
Yeah, exactly. What's the organization do?
So we're a media and events company. We promote what's going on here in the state with all the great local food, farming, restaurants, chefs, and then we have an all-day, 4-day all-local food festival coming up next week to just get the word out there and show people all the great things.
Well, since you mentioned it, let's just put it up. We'll do it at the end of the show as well, just to remind you. But we have that handy, don't we, guys? Yes, we do. April 30th through May 3rd. The festival kicks off Thursday with Dinner by Dames, to benefit the AIDS Project Rhode Island, and then Friday evening, well, you can tell us, the return of the truck stop. And why don't you narrate through that? What's going on?
Sure. So Dinner by Dames is a multi-course dinner with 16 women chefs, bartenders, and farmers. That's on Thursday evening. Friday evening is our truck stop. We have 16 food trucks down in the skating rink in Providence to benefit the food bank. Saturday is our grand tasting. We have over 50 local food vendors, beers, wines, spirits to taste at the Biltmore Ballroom. And then Sunday is our brunch with 11 restaurants, a cocktail bar, and a coffee bar, also in the Biltmore Ballroom.
I like the grand tasting concept. I like the sampling. I like the dabble.
We've got a lot. It's an amazing group. We've got, like I said, over 50 vendors and just everything from meats and cheeses to whiskeys and wines.
So what does your organization do to, are you a nonprofit or
No.
You're a for-profit?
Yes.
Cool.
We help some charities that, as part of the festival, but we are for-profit.
So how do you operate revenue in what's your market? Do the restaurants participate with you? How does that work?
We don't charge restaurants or anything like that. It's really through the events. We sell tickets to the events and we get sponsorships to the events, and then we do some media and marketing for fee as well.
Okay, so you're just a marketing genius that puts this stuff together. No, I get it, because everyone who buys into this gets a walkthrough and a sample, and it's a great way to carve into what is a really fertile marketplace for restaurants and bars and taverns, and so
absolutely
smart thinking. You then must have a real pulse on what this industry is doing here in the state. Yeah,
I mean, the growth is incredible. It's constantly growing. It's especially the local end of things with the farms and the connections to the restaurants. It's amazing to see. So over the last 5 years, business is just going up and up, even in this pretty bad economic times. The restaurant and food business continue to grow, and it's great to see.
It's kind of weird. We always talk about these bad economic times, and we have been in a bad economic time talk syndrome here since about 2007. The rest of the country allegedly is out of the recession, at least 3 years back. We're trailing in drafting. I don't know if this is our new normal or not, but it was interesting. Even when times were tough, I mean really bad in 07, 08, 09, Friday nights were still busy at the restaurants.
Yeah.
It was almost like the one thing you could do.
Exactly.
Right.
The one thing that people could use to alleviate whatever they were going through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see that the same
Absolutely.
way. So where are the trends been, do you think, since that time? Is it only just gotten better? Who didn't survive and who did survive during that tough time?
Well, surprisingly, almost everyone did survive. I mean, yeah, obviously people who didn't have a very good business model, didn't know exactly what they're doing, didn't survive. I mean, that's the nature of any business now. But really, truthfully, I mean, the food business has only grown. We have more food products out there now. We have businesses like Hope in Maine, which are incubating new food businesses. There are at least
we've
a
had
dozen
them here. They're
coming
phenomenal.
out. Yeah, I mean, we've got 8 of them going to be showcasing product at the festival next week, and so you've got products like that, and then you've got new restaurants opening all the time. In the last few years, there's been North and Birch and Ogie's on the west side, and it's just continual growth.
You participated in Governor Raimondo's Thought Leader session.
Yes, I did.
And the tourism and restaurant types all came together that were invited for what was a couple of dozen folks around the circle. And the reason I know that is because I observed. I was a fly on the wall and just wanted to see how it was going. You had a lot to say. I don't remember specifically what, but I remember now that I met you, I thought, that sharp guy, I remember. There was a pretty good session, I thought, amongst thought leaders in this industry.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was a great gathering. It was interesting to, a lot of these things have been hashed up, before, and so it was kind of a rehash. But a lot of things are just, we're at a point where we want things to happen, and I feel actually pretty encouraged by the new administration. I feel pretty strongly that everyone I've met so far wants things to happen. Instead of just talking about tourism, for example, which is what I wrote about, they actually want to build this into the budget to enhance state tourism and to get us a single unified brand and a marketing message. And it's about time. I mean, really, we're too small a state to not have that.
That's fun because that's when we come back. David and I have a friendly debate about that because I'm not so sure centralizing right now is worth doing. We'll talk about it. Stay with us. David Dadekian owns a business called Eat Drink Rhode Island. He's a marketer who's got a great event. We'll remind you one more time before the end of the segment what that's all going to be about. And he had an op-ed piece in the Journal the other day that caught my eye. And we left this, when we took the break, talking about this this notion that it's about time, you think it's about time, we centralize our marketing, get a concept, all that. Lay out your premise as to what you think is important for us to do.
Well, to a certain degree. I mean, I certainly don't think that we should ignore, different regions of our state. I mean, I think it's, I think what the Providence Warwick CVB has done is great. Discover Newport does what they do is great. But I just think, it's so easy to get around here. It's so easy to see a large swath of the state when people visit from out of state. When I have friends come here from other parts of the country and they stay in Providence, they drive to Newport, drive to Bristol, drive to Westerly without a second thought. I mean, that's what they do. They want to see the state. So I think, we really need a unified brand and a message to say this is what Rhode Island's about. It's not just eating. It's also beaches and history and art and all the things that make Rhode Island fantastic, and kind of package it together and sell it.
Look, you're a marketing guy, so you talk this language. Here's what I have a qualm with. First of all, the notion of centralizing money for a marketing purpose can be an excellent thing to do if you've got a purpose for it.
Yes, I agree.
Doing it because it seems systemically proper to, 50 miles long and 35 miles wide, get a central theme for Rhode Island because that's what we ought to do because that's what the textbook says we should do, worries me. I think there's a lot of stuff that we haven't done, even with all the think tanking that goes on, to establish who we are and ask the question who we are. I do agree that we're underfunded when it comes to marketing.
Right.
But I'm concerned about what, for instance, right now there's a marketing campaign called Discover Beautiful Rhode Island. Why do you make that face? It's television.
It doesn't mean anything. Discover Beautiful Rhode Island. It's kind of vague.
Well, it really doesn't mean anything when you drive into the state and there's a beautiful sign that says Discover Beautiful Rhode Island, and the grass in the summer is up this high, if you can call it grass, and there's litter all over Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
The basics, and this is not let's pick on the state again type of conversation.
No.
The basics of this place have not been addressed, and I'm worried that the Raimondo administration is going to start thinking at 36,000 feet without taking care of some of the stuff that is basic. So when that person comes in to visit Eat Drink Rhode Island's latest marketing plan with 50 restaurants, they're not going through a cesspool to get here. I mean, if we don't fix that.
Well, I mean,
right?
it's a valid point. I mean, I certainly agree with you that there should be a plan, in place. At the same time, I think a lot of that should be addressed at a city and town level. I kind of want to see the state do things that are bigger, that are more important, that really do affect the state as a whole, and not, these smaller regions. I mean, you can get into the whole debate about, what exactly the cities and towns are responsible for, but.
Other than cleaning the place up, I mean, we have three or four hot spots of tourism.
Mm-hmm.
Newport, Providence work together, does a nice job. The Blackstone Valley says they got something going on in the river. I'm not so sure what that's all about. I guess the revolutionary historians like to come up and down the river and find out what they want. I don't know.
There's history.
In Pawtucket, there's history's got the thing. But what would you say, without some research consultation project, what would you say about Rhode Island that you think brings it all together?
Well, I mean, I really think that's the key. I think we need to sit down and figure out what is that binding message. I mean, obviously there are those pieces that you mentioned. I mean, obviously the beaches are a huge attraction at a certain time of year. The arts and culture that we have here in Providence and throughout the rest of the state really is phenomenal. And from my perspective, food is huge, and it's only growing, and food tourism is growing. People spend millions of dollars, close to billions of dollars throughout the world now on food tourism. Why shouldn't we get a little piece of that pie?
Well, so should it be that? I mean, should it just be the idea that we should stop ignoring what is one of our incredible assets? I mean, Federal Hill's reputation for what it does, but all the way through the state, the one thing you can't say is that we don't have fertile ground when it comes to eating, drinking.
I'm not going to argue with you there.
So should that win the day? And should we stop overthinking this thing?
Obviously, I'm biased. I say yes, but
All right, put you on the spot. What's the brand? Tell me what it is. Throw 3 or 4 out. We won't hold it to you. Brainstorm.
I mean, Eat, Drink, Rhode Island. I mean, people like the brand because I built it to encompass the state. I mean, we say
all right, will you
food
sell
will
it
help
to
Rhode
us,
Island
and
grow.
that's it. Then you can retire.
Well,
and
yeah,
you can move next to
depends
Taylor
on how much
Swift,
you
and
want to
we'll
give
be
me.
all
Sure,
done.
yeah, I'll do that.
No, but I get it.
Yeah, I mean, we use slogans like "Food will help Rhode Island grow." I've used slogans like "Rhode Island has it all. Come taste it." Things like that are quick, easy, soundbitey. People catch on to it. They want to see what's going on, and so we attract them here for the food.
Well,
and I think yes, I obviously I'm biased. I'd love to see it be all about food, but I don't want to discount all the other things that we do have here. It's impressive.
It's not an easy task.
No, it's not. It's not an easy task at all.
And I'm just saying, until we find out how we should do this and stick with it, let's save the taxpayer money until we know what we want to do. First things first.
Well,
That's
I
just
don't, I don't know all the complete intricacies of the budget, obviously, but it doesn't appear to be any additional taxes in this case, in the case of tourism. It's shifting taxes.
Everyone's.
But everyone's got their eye now.
Everyone's picking at the budget.
That's
Like
Rhode
everyone's
Island.
going to
I
pick at these great taste things. Can we one more time? Again, April 30th through May 3rd. And if you can't read that because you don't have your glasses on, the website would be
eatdrinkri.com/festival. We have tickets for sale.
And if you forget /festival, I'm sure
just
you
go to
could find it.
eatdrinkri.com.
It's great to meet you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Nice meeting you.
Good luck with this
Appreciate it.
project. All right,
Thank you.
one more thing and we come back and stay with us. So coming up on tomorrow's show from the Rhode Island Taxpayers Association, Larry Gerard will be my guest, and he's going to ask the question, where's the game changer in the Raimondo budget? She would suggest that there's no one big idea that's going to, I don't know, stimulate and change the status quo in Rhode Island. But the truth of the matter is that we're all looking for game changers, the governor herself too. So we'll hear from Larry on that tomorrow night. See you on the radio at noon till 3 tomorrow on WPRO. Thanks so much for watching. By the way, the governor on Tuesday, make a note of that. Good night.